Oh, in English, man. All right, since we have some technical difficulties, I see. I just got back from our event in Basel in Miami, and I asked the people there to give us a little present for you guys here in Warsaw. So, you know, they're getting pretty feministy down there in the United States. So, while I'm presenting, if you want to tag Copernic Space on Twitter, I'll choose the coolest tag on it, and you will get this t-shirt, okay? But in a moment, we're going to start talking about space. So, you know, crypto for years has been talking about to the moon. We're going to talk about actually giving you the capability to do that, literally, and own that through an NFT, among various other things that will be interesting to you. You ready? Do I got to click, or did I ask you? All right, go back, homie. All right, at Copernic Space. Remember with that Twitter thing with the shirt. So at Copernic Space it. Okay, you can do the next slide. What, I got a little clicker? What's going on? There we go. What's up? Oh, it's limited? Okay. All right. Space is everything. I don't think a lot of people realize majority of the technology you're using today, you know, pointing at me with the phone right there, what he's doing over here, majority of that was based off developments for space applications. And this is gaining even more traction right now. Also, a lot of people don't realize that the space market is not exclusively Musk, Bezos, etc. shooting up their rockets. There's literally hundreds and thousands of entrepreneurs and companies that are pushing the boundaries of our future and humanity overall. Another objective fact that people don't realize is space economy is the only infinite economy. It is the only economy in the history of mankind that just won't have an end to it. Take a look at the resources that are here today, right? They're finite. We're about to enter into a whole new economy where these resources can technically be infinite, and the benefits for mankind are not just economic, but things that I'll show you that actually touch things right on Earth now. All right, where are we at today though? Projected in the next 10 years, it's a $1 trillion market. It's already 500 billion. We actually think it's already $1 trillion, and we're going to tell you why that, and how we're going to actually make that a reality that is going to be $1 trillion market very soon. You see that big percentage? That's pressure. That's investment pressure from maybe some people in this room, but this is formal investment pressure that's happened in the past year, right? And that doesn't include all the retail investors that could be. Why? Because retail investors can't get in. Here's the other thing. There's big market pressure to have better access to space in various sort of ways. And that number is going to increase even more the more we enable that. Right, but what's the issue? $500 billion market, no marketplace. Space never entered Web 2.0, let alone 3.0. And tokenization is going to play the most important role when it comes to scaling up the commercialization of it. The other issue, liquidity, financing. Anybody here invested in a space company? I didn't think so. You got to be pretty much an extremely privileged person with extremely privileged access. Know some old founder of PayPal who knows Musk to get in on these deals. Or you're just a big VC who's focused on that. But there's very limited access to this market. A market which I guess almost every single person in here likes. You ever met somebody, you're like, hey, you like space? They're like, nah, fuck space. Like, you don't enter that. Right. So how do you do this? How do you scale up commercialization, scale up financing for this market to push humanity further, while at the same time, for the first time ever, involving each and every single one of you with the capability to participate in it? Right? Whoa, 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 whoa. So listen, we're applying blockchain in mainly two unique models, and I'll get into those details. And how we're doing that is, once again, to fuel all these great entrepreneurs, give them the capital, give them the commercialization, but even more importantly, once again, give every single person here the opportunity to participate economically in this market and benefit from it. So it's not just Musk, so it's not just Bezos, it's not just these guys who get to own what is going to be the largest economy in the history of mankind. And crypto is going to play, once again, the operating system, the fundamental role in this new economy. So we're looking at these two distinct problems with two distinct solutions on one platform, right? And that is the space mart. You take a look at these NFT marketplaces today. They're great, cool, and these are lasting certain applications. But NFTs are going to be kind of the digital backbone of digital economies, right? It's going to be the layer that not just gives you ownership of something that's digital, but it can give you unique access to data, licensing. Actually, this is going to explode when you guys are using NFTs and you don't need to know it. It doesn't matter. It's all about the features and the ownership that it provides to you in these new and bustling digital economies. The other one is Space Pool. That's solving that liquidity, financing aspect, right? So what do we do there? We apply two things. We apply token sales, mainly for earlier stage sort of space ventures, high risk sort of elements, right? To allow people such as yourself to get in, and exclusively for contracted space companies. Here's the thing, guys like Musk, last year he was selling his shares to SpaceX kind of on the low, like privately. He wasn't doing this in the big scale. Why? Because he was looking for liquidity. He wasn't there to pump up his valuation and be super public. He needs cash. Liquidity pools in crypto are revolutionary, but they've been used for pretty much one very limited resource. What we're going to do next year is we're going to leverage contracted revenue. So guys like Musk have hundreds of millions of dollars in contracted revenue, but they can't act like your bakery down the street and go to the bank and leverage that for a loan at a set interest rate. We're going to be doing that with liquidity pools and provide these guys the capital that they need fast so they can move forward and not deal with VCs, not give up equity, power, control in their companies. Go ahead. So the NFT marketplace, the Space Mart. One thing that people aren't talking about when it comes to NFT marketplaces is that they're exclusively supply, right? What about the demand side? What you're going to see developing in a lot of these economies over time is that users are going to have the capability to come on and request what they want. A lot of cases are going to be supply side. For example, the one you're going to see later, our commercial launch case, which is for space cargo, actually sending things up into space. For example, that's one of SpaceX's main revenue streams, is the cargo that they take up, right? That's a supply side, but we think about 80% of the market, especially satellite data, is going to be demand side, meaning I'm an agriculture company in Poland, right? Someone was talking about avocados earlier. I'm an avocado producer in some country. I want to use satellite imagery and data to better optimize my crop yield. And I'm telling you, these are things that are starting to happen, and this is a whole new commercial market that's going to come out. I've spoken to hedge funds that want to use space data to make bets, right? How do we enable these billions upon billions of dollars in new clients and new applications to be able to come on and get what they need? And ironically, NFTs are going to be at the core of that, because I can package a license into that NFT with unique access into that direct data set under that license, right? And you're going to start seeing that churning. How do I access this? How do I acquire it, right? And NFTs are going to sit at the core of that. Time? Oh, we got to go. That was short. What are you talking about? All right, Space Pool. Once again, two things. Token sales, liquidity pools. Your project, you come on, you got to pass KYC, obviously, and then there's a process called KYM across our platform. We need to verify whether you have the rights or the legal capability to actually do this. After that, once you're good, launch your space pool, let the public fund you. All right, here's the big thing, our launch. So I was just in Miami this past week doing a private launch of this. You guys will actually only be the second group of people to ever see this. So this is the first ever space asset. This is the first time you ever get to own something real in space. And we teamed up with Lunar Outpost, which is a rover company contracted by NASA to fly to the lunar South Pole next year. And what we're allowing you to do is buy actual payload space on this rover that's going to go to the moon and stay there forever. And we're doing this in 2 distinct ways. Click on the thing. No, click on the thing. Oh, that's not good. Okay. If you want, QR code that, come up to me later, and you can sign up for the wait list when it comes to this. But we're doing it in 2 ways. What I did last week, I opened up a private sale around it, which this is exclusively for people or entities to buy 100 grams or more, which is the minimum to actually send something to the moon. So we're going to give you the capability, if you're a brand or whatever, to actually send something to the moon, own your ownership of space on the moon as an NFT, and then later on, when we do the public sale, which will allow every single one of you to buy 1/10 of a gram, 100th of a gram, have the first real ownership of an asset in space. Those people from the private sale can customize their NFT, let's call it, like I sent to offer to Snoop Dogg. Let's say Snoop Dogg sent something to the moon. He can have a Snoop Dogg moon NFT that he can then chop up and resell to all his fans, right? So it's creating not only providing the first real digital solution to commercialize space, but even more importantly, providing the first space asset market, right? A marketplace where the general commercial and retail market can buy, sell, own, and benefit from all the great things that are happening in space. So if you're interested on that, go on copernicspace.com, sign up on the wait list, and you'll be up to date with everything. All right, but we're doing a lot of other stuff. Like it says, the future is now. Next year, we're going to do the first STO for a space company ever. We're working with some great partners around doing that. And the other one is we're going to let you actually be a user of a satellite, which through an NFT, you'll buy a license to software on a satellite, and you can take the imagery that you want and download it through that interface. We've already done the proof of concept for this with Exodus Orbitals. I don't know if you get the QR from here, but if you want, you can read more about it. One more, come on, bro. All right. I'm going to give an ending statement, too. You want to just skip this and I'll tell them? And I'll do the ending statement? All right, skip it. It's fine. You're pressuring me. Oh, last but not least, all the great people that support us. So, people that support us include, the former director of the Space Department, the U.S. Department of Commerce. Also, you can see one of our investors here from the VC startup Wise Guys. And most importantly, all these great space-related companies. And if you want to check us out on NASA, just put in Copernic Space NASA in Google, and you can check out, kind of how we were developing a company around a year ago, and some of our stuff that we started doing with NASA. At the end of the day, though, what is our goal? Just so you know, my grandfather he helped build the astronaut program in Poland. He was a professor in the Polish military. And, he always talked, very progressive-minded guy, and he always talked about accessibility, right? And listen, I'm not a rocket scientist. Some people here, you guys know me. I'm not a rocket scientist. The space economy, once again, is everything. It's everyone, it needs every single type of person, and we want to provide the capability to every single type of person and every single person in here to realize that they can own a piece of space. They can benefit not just from the cell phone that they use, but they can economically participate and benefit from its growth. So I'm going to be here for a little bit longer afterwards. If you want to ask me some questions, big QR code there once again if it works from your phone from here. And yeah, ask away, and thank you, everyone.
Czy ktoś ma jakieś pytania? 2 pytania. No questions?
Wow, either I just fucking killed it,
Ja to
or I'm
rozumiem po
worried.
polsku. Jak zapytacie po polsku?
Yeah, możecie po polsku, jeśli chcecie, nie krępujcie się.
To jeszcze raz, jakieś pytania? Wszystko jasne.
Huh? Who speaks Polish? Hopefully everyone here. No questions?
To jest.
Możesz mówić o tych 100 gramach, że można wysłać 100 gram w ramach tej
Minimum.
Minimum 100 gram. Czy możesz dać jakiś przykład, czy możesz dać jakiś przykład tego, kto coś chce wysłać, z osób, które na przykład już z tego skorzystały, z tej możliwości?
One thing that some payload that's already been sold and is going up there is Nokia is throwing up a 4G LTE capabilities onto the rover, so you're actually going to be able to send some sort of transactions and communications through the internet from the moon to the lunar lander that's going to be out there. We're hyper interested in engaging different types of companies and brands and show them that they can actually be involved in space. So we're talking to gaming companies, like I mentioned, we're talking to rappers, we're talking to certain celebrities and alcohol brands. So once again, space is everything and space is for everyone, and our whole thing is, you know, to enable, you know, companies in this room. If you want to be the first crypto company on the moon, go ahead and give me a call.
So that 100 gram, it will be like in NFT, yeah? And if I will buy it, can I resell it after that? You know, like...
Yeah, so what would happen right now is you'd come on our website, you'd go through the request format, you'd request, let's say, 400 grams, right? Because what you want to put on there's a little bit bigger, right? They'll cost you a little bit more. So let's say you want to put 400 grams. You then physically get to actually put your whatever 400 grams into the rover. It launches to the moon in December next year and lands on the moon December next year. But in the public sale, your ownership, which is around March, your ownership, which is that NFT, unlocks. So you own an NFT that you can then divide and then you can resell. So this is great for brands. Like imagine if you're a brand and you can do a huge campaign about literally going to the moon, and then you can resell ownership of your ownership on the moon to your users and your community. So this is what I'm saying, is like space economy is kind of everywhere, and you can extend it out into different places and do really creative, historic things right now.
Yeah, thanks Grant for the presentation, a really interesting one. I hope that one day we are going to be able to buy NFTs out of your quotes.
In about 3 months, unless you want to buy the cargo right now, then we can do it now. You know?
Good, all right. I'm not that knowledgeable about the space market, as probably majority of the audience is. I would like to ask about the regulatory side. I mean, of course, this is a huge market, like limitless almost. But here we also live on Earth, where is the regulation?
Yeah, thanks.
I would like to ask how you look at it from the US perspective, which is for sure a bit different than Polish, and then maybe in general, like global.
Yeah, great question. One reason this is such a huge opportunity for blockchain technology is because unlike almost every single other industry, space is highly unregulated. There's very limited regulations when it comes to this stuff. For example, like technically you can't own real estate on the moon, right? You can't go to the moon and be like, I own this square meter and, you know, fight me for it. China's going to do that probably within the next 10 years, but I'll leave that to the Chinese to do that. From the regulatory end, there's lots of different things. Are we creating a new standard here? Yes. There's no precedent for what we're doing at all whatsoever. If I were to, you know, for those who don't know me, before I built Copernic Space, I helped found and build CoinFirm, which is focused on regulatory technology for crypto, and you'll see them present here if you haven't already. So I take those things highly into consideration. We, of course, for example, American space companies can't sell to Chinese nationals or companies or government institutions. So what do I have to do? I have to KYC the hell out of the initial sale, and here's the cool little innovation. I have to whitelist every single address that's registered and tied to the platform, because we're a decentralized platform, by the way. We only control the entry points. Everything else is peer-to-peer. You connect your wallet. But once I whitelist you through KYC, that address gets whitelisted, which means in secondary market sales, for that ownership of that rover, it can only be resold to addresses and wallets that are whitelisted within our system. Because why? Because I could do something on a secondary market and send it to the Chinese government. Now they own something on the moon on a US company. Right? So there are certain regulatory things that we have to take into consideration. But shit, to be honest, as someone who's seen countless ICOs, token projects, I've probably worked with almost 70 of them. You know, the space market is pretty unregulated and is really for the taking. Imagine being like in crypto 9 years ago. That's kind of like the space market today. Like, you have a chance to really plant your flag. Like, it needs every single type of person. Once again, I'm not a rocket scientist, but it needs people like me, right? So thanks for the question, because it's a good one. And that's going to be developing. To be honest, guys, over the next 20 years, some of the biggest geopolitical battles aren't going to be geopolitical. They're going to be in space. Like I said, they're going to be pushing the boundaries. So there's one more. Is that it? That's it? You can ask me later, buddy. You can come out and talk to me. So thank you, everybody.
Słuchajcie, zrobimy teraz przerwę 13 minut i zaczynamy 10 po 8.